Great day to you. Laura J. here to say I'm not short, I'm fun-sized in all dog Latin, which means that it is a sign language that appears to be English, but each of these letters are actually a sign in and of themselves because they're in all caps. When you have two or more letters within a word, every single letter stands as a sign that stands alone. So now that you know what I'm wearing and what I am sharing in the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Assembly group on Telegram, I want to invite you to join the few who have already done so and are willing to challenge existing belief systems in order to actually get back to being real. Real by my acronym is relatable, which I have not been as to why I realized the importance of it, I'll be honest. Ethical, which has empathy within it. Altruistic, which is not where we need to be the martyr any longer, though it is to beware of the archetype, because certainly by sharing everything I have without charging anything for it, I have been playing the role very well, if you've noticed. And then loving is the L for being real, which is where we can heal the hurts that get us frozen in our hearts, and then we become like Queen Elsa because we believe a title, status, personage, or designation makes us more than we were before it, which is a fallacy. I made a little voice memo to those who are in the group this morning, and I mentioned I'd heard Papa's walker click, and so I thought it would be interesting just to go with the shtick of saying Papa is actually connected to the manorial system that we're in, which was the precursor to feudalism. For family feud was always what we were warned would be the nuclear war we didn't see coming, except that wasn't how it was presented, for we thought it would be about bombs and missiles and nuclear explosions. But the nuclear family model is how we originally got divided, so that we wouldn't need to have the big explosions, when instead we would implode because of how much it hurt for our heart to grow those frozen walls that make it all just seem so much and too much, and then we shut down and we go into fetal position and revert back to being a child or infant, which is where we then get moved into the third person pronoun, allowing an agent to speak for us, act for us according to acts that in fact cause us harm, loss, and fraud, because we've given the nod to fictitious rules that converge and merge two unequal things, that which is real, not by my acronym standards, which is dog Latin from the perspective it's an acronym, so each word stands for something and stands alone independently of that which I have shown already, compared to what is fictional. Now, all of this diction is my way to expose the fiction and to say that this message I wanted to make about the Papa of the manor, which is ultimately the liege lord at the top of the house he is the ruler of, who has serfs and villeins under him, who then have to do what their liege lord tells them to, because they made a feudal allegiance to the head of their household in exchange for protection. Empowering the children just liked my story, because when we actually see that it is the children who are being targeted, because if they go down, the parents go after them and then no longer are able to look out for and after those who came before them. I stay with my 90-year-old Papa because I know I keep him healthier than someone who doesn't have a relationship with him, that he doesn't trust, that would make him feel unwell because he'd be feeling insecure and going smaller and smaller. Not to say that I'm perfect in any way or that that doesn't happen naturally, but at the same time, he feels loved because he is. And I just thought it would be of interest to then also put in the fact that the Papa, which was a name I started calling him years ago, even though Grandpa was the name I was told to call him, the name being the title, for his name is Bob. It's actually John, but his middle name's Robert, so he goes by Bob. Go figure. And these identity changes are how we get deceived. But the point is that the Papa is actually reflective of the church's hidden hand underneath of and over top of that which doesn't see the holy sea, that creates the current sea that we are sailing on unawares. So my Papa is the man that stood by me when no one else did, and I'm grateful, and loyalty matters to me, which is why I stay here, even though I could be elsewhere. And I share this because we all make sacrifices, and the martyr has certainly been an archetype I've been working through. And there comes limits on what you can do, where the sacrifice for the sake of another can become too much because it then interferes with our fate or destiny, which the Norse called word, the W-Y-R-D, as the word that is the fate or destiny that is sealed when we don't heal the emotions that get triggered when things are wrote about us or spoke to denote us to be other than we are in our true essence, for then we are portrayed to be the character, which is where I wish to leave with you a concept to consider. The man, the myth, the legend, those are not the same, though they will be implied to be. But the man has myths made about him. I was going to say is made into the myth, but that is not true, for those myths simply are applied to the man who lived in a way that words were written about him. And then others can step into that myth, which is the title, that create the legend, which is the leg ends of us who need to know how to trust the ground that we are standing on. For if it is a trap door that we stand on because we didn't see the fictitious nature of an identity that we took on that invited entities into our identities, well, that trap door will go out from under us and we'll be shorn of our life and what nice things we accrued within it by going along with the devil that lived backwards, literally. The spelling, the word spells. That's dogged indeed, which is the way dog Latin is referred to. So that is a lot. As I have always been taught, I am told, not taught, but when you're told something enough times, it is teaching you who to be or who you are implied to be. And it's not true, you see, because yes, I am much, but you are as well. And it's okay, so long as we know how to settle our own nervous system. So the city of sin, Vegas, that reflects the vagus nerve in us, doesn't consume us and make us lose everything when the identity that we agreed to previously is exposed to not be in our benefit any longer. Peace be with you. Peace be in you. And as my twisted lightworker friend Neil Sperling always says, Peace profound.